Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We are here in Avas Shalom B'Shemesh in Bava Metzia. We're learning an Amud a day. We are now in Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph. We are in the more or less middle of the page, but actually not really the middle. No. We are in the Snan Hosom. It's about a third into the page. Line starts with the word Rabbi Yirmiyah. Line starts with the word Yirmiyah, Rabbi Yirmiyah ki gondol tzrich haraba, and then Tnan Hosom. Then we say Tnan Hosom. Okay, the date today is Tes Zayin of Tafshin Pei Gimel. That means in the middle of the month of Av. In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Rosh Chodesh Elul. Yeah, we're in the 16th of Av, Tafshin Pei Gimel. Yeah, 2 weeks into Elul. So we live by the Hebrew date, by the real date, Tes Zayin of. Yeah. 16th of Av, Menachem Av, a beautiful month of Rachamim from a certain point. Tnan Hosom. Before we continue, there's a lot of introductions to do. This sugya is kind of new. In other words, this sugya is not directly connected to the previous one. We're going to see the connection later. And before we continue into the sugya, we have to know a few facts. We all know that last year was Shemitah year. Speaking of dates, we know that last year was Shemitah, and one of the biggest machlokesim throughout the generations, many opinions to both sides. There's no time and energy now to go into that. One big machlokes about Shemitah is what happens if a goy, legally buys a piece of land in Eretz Yisrael. Do we say that the fact that a goy owns a piece of land in Eretz Yisrael, do we say that it's mafki'ah from the holiness of Eretz Yisrael, yes or no? Do we say that if the owner of a piece of land in the Galil, his name is Abdul Rahman Majnun, whatever, and he got it from his fathers, and he's a legal owner of that, do we say that if I pick some, whatever, fruit and vegetables there, does Kedusha Shvis apply or not? Do we say that his ownership is mafkia, meaning it kilo pops out, it annuls, it cancels the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael vis-a-vis Shvis? Or no, big machloikes, opinions to all directions, the Mabit, Pastor Shulchan, B'Sesef, explanations of the Rambam, B'Zman Hazeh, the Oisa, the Rabbanon. It boils down to Chazon Ish versus Eidei Charedis. Chazon Ish is the one that held that the ownership of a goy does not take away the Kedusha, and that's why people, the Bnei Brak people who follow Chazon Ish, they would treat the Nochri with Kedusha Shvis, while the Badat Eidei Charedis in Yerushalayim hold that the ownership of a goy does take away the Kedusha, and therefore, those of us who follow the Eidei Charedis, we treat Peres Nochri without Kedusha. You can throw the peel into the garbage with no hard feelings. That has nothing to do with our sugya. The sugya talks about Meiser. What would be the halacha? And that's very nogea, not just once every 7 years. It's nogea 6 years out of 7. Yeah, I was in the Golan once with my father-in-law, Zichrono Livrocha, and there was a field, there was like a grove of cherry grove, run and owned by Druze people. And the Druze lady, she did the miruach in front of us. And the question is, since it's owned by a goy, and the goy did the miruach, but we are going to be the ones who eat it, not them. They don't have to take meiser for themselves. It's not one sheva mitzvahs nainoach, But if I buy the cherry box from the Druze, do I have to take meiser, yes or no? That's going to be one of the issues we're going to talk about. In other words, shvis and meiser are not the same. Every part of every mitzvah tluya ba'aretz is different, because of different reasons. Regarding the ownership of the goy, is the ownership of the goy mafkia? Does it break away like poikea? Do we say that it takes away the kedusha? And do I not have to take meiser, or do I have to take meiser? Because with all due respect to the Druze woman who owns the field, it is part of Eretz Yisrael. Okay, that is one of the questions we're going to deal with today. One more issue before we start. There is a part here in the Gemara that is missing, and that part I have to be mashlim to you. The Gemara is going to quote a Mishnah. We can read the first few words. Nan Hosom. We quote the second part of a Mishnah, the second part of a Mishnah in Demai, the 6th parak of Demai. Rabbi Yehuda argues on Tanakama, and I'll tell you what Tanakama says. Af, we have to add your word. Af a mekabel. Also, a mekabel sde a voice of min anochri, meiser v'noisen loy. What does that mean? We saw a few times already, mekabel sde a voice of. What's a mekabel? Mekabel, a kablan, when it comes to agriculture, to work, yeah, there are, unless you want to be a black worker, if you don't want to be just a regular black worker, you want to be somebody who makes real money with real rights over a field. You want to be a worker that really sees a lot of profit from a lot of work. There are two ways how a person may go about with it. A person can either be a kablan, also called aris, or a person can be a choicher. What's the difference? Rabbi Yehuda here talks about a kablan. A mekabel and oris is a person who works how? With percentage. You own a field, but all day long you're in koilel. Maybe you work in high tech in the evening. I don't know what you do the whole day, but lamaise, I'm the one toiling and sweating in your field, and I take percentage and I give you a percentage, whichever percentage does make a difference. 60-40, 40-60, 50-50 percentage. Okay, that's the way it works. That's one way. We're just learning the glossary now. That's kablan, also called oris. A choicher is a different story. A choicher, chachirus, which is loosely translated as leasing, that is a different story. When a person is a choicher, that is a person who always has to give a set amount of produce to the owner. I work the field, and let's say the field, we estimated when we started the contract, we estimated it's going to yield, I don't know, 50 tons a year. I don't know the logical numbers yet. 50 tons a year, I don't know. And we decided that I'll always give you 30 tons. Yeah, I'll always give you 30 tons. That is to say, every year I have to give you 30 tons, whether the field makes 1,000,000 tons or the field doesn't do anything at all. I somehow have to come up with 30 tons, maybe from other fields, from my own pocket. I always have to give, it's like a debt. It's like paying some kind of debt every month, every year. I have to give him an annual 30 tons. That is called a choicher. Now, Tanakama, which we don't see, his opinion we don't see here, it's not quoted. Tanakama now talks about Meiser. Let's say you work in the field, let's say you're a Jewish worker, yeah? You're a Jewish worker, either choicher or oris, either a oris percentage guy or a set amount guy. You're Jewish, you're God-fearing Jew, but the owner of the field in Eretz Yisrael is a goy. And let's, for the sake of argument, say that although he's a goy, it is in Eretz Yisrael. Let's now assume, let's follow the Chazon Ish in Shemitah now, and let's assume that the actual produce is chayv b'meiser. Now his part, he doesn't have to take meiser, right? It's not one sheva mitzvahs b'nei noyach, yeah? But for my part, I have to take meiser. So far, so good. The question is, when do I take the meiser? Let's say the field yielded how much? Chicken and ora. Let's keep numbers simple for me. 100 tons, yeah? And now I'm the one who did all the work, and I cut everything, and I was memarech everything, all 100 tons. Now, when do I have to take meiser? Do I have to, let's say it's 50-50. Let's say it's 50-50, okay? Do I have to take meiser from the entire 100, mine and his together, and then give him his part, his clear part? Or do we say, no, mapitom, I'll divide 50-50 and I'll take from my part, not from the goyish part. Yeah, of course, the first way I'm going to lose from. The second way I'm arviach. In other words, do I give him the net profit, or do I give him the whole thing? Yeah. Do I take meiser from everything, from all 100 tons, including what's going to end up in Abdul's table, in Abdul's part, but I take everything, or do I take only from my part? Says Tanakama, depends if you're a choicher or an oris, which means if you're a choicher, a choicher means you pay an annual debt. It's like paying debt. And now let's move away from the fields to the world of the urban life that we live today. Let me ask you a question to make you understand it better. Yeah? Why there is logic in saying that you take meiser from everything and then you give him his part. You make your salary, I hope you make 30,000 shekels a month. I think that's nice in Israel. Yeah. No, I don't know, without taxes, clean or not. How much meiser do you have to give a month? 3,000 shekels? Yeah, from 30,000. Very nice. 3,000 shekels, you have to give meiser. Who to? Avos Shalom Koilo. Now, 3,000 shekels, you have to give meiser every month. Now, oh, but you have debts. You have debts. From your daughter's wedding, you still have to pay an annual debt for the apartment, for the whole. You still have a monthly debt of 1,000 shekels. Would you tell the Kadosh Baruch Hu, listen, no, first I'll pay my debts, and then I'll take meiser. No way, my kesho, no, no. You first give your meiser. From a 30,000, you take 3,000 meiser, give it to the yeshiva, the koilel, or kids with cancer, lo leinu. Then you deal with your debts. One has nothing to do with the other, right? Says Tanakama, if the agreement between you and Abdallah is what? Is that you're a choicher. A choicher is a debt that you have to pay. A choicher means whether the field produced, didn't produce, yield, didn't yield, you have to give him every year a fixed amount, whichever amount. Therefore, you take meiser from everything because we view you as the only owner of all the produce. He's the owner of the field. You're Kilo, the owner of the produce, because he can also make millions. Yeah, he will get his 30 tons, even if he makes billions of tons, right? In other words, he has to get his fixed amount. He's like a mashkanta. He's like a regular fixed thing, right? Therefore, you take meiser from everything because it's really all yours, and then give it to him. Give him his part. That is by choicher. By oris, no. Oris, we say no. When it's percentage, when we play with percentage, I'm 40 and you're 60, that sounds schmecks like what? Shutfus. Partnership. Partnership. Ooh. Partnership means that he's lechatchila the owner over his 60%, and I'm the owner of my 40%. I don't have to give myself on Abdallah's part. Mapitom. We are partners. When it comes to partnership, I give only from my net amount, and his amount, he should do whatever he wants with it. Maybe he can donate it to the mosque. I don't know. Alamaisa, he doesn't. That's the logic of Tanakama. So let's summarize again. According to Tanakama, if you're a choicher, if you pay the guy, the owner, the goyshe owner, a fixed amount, then you are the owner of everything. You have to take meiser from all 100 tons. That's a loss in Olam Hazeh terms, right? And then give him the debt. Debt, it's like I gave meiser from a 30,000 salary. I gave 3,000. Now I have to deal, I pay my debts and buy shoes for my children. And Mashenkin, if it's an oris, Kablan will say no. A Kablan is a person who is working on percentage. Percentage sounds more like partners. You can argue, by the way, Chomim argue, Lamaisa, yeah, I can understand what's considered to be partnership. We have 40-60 partnership. Partnership means he's an owner just like me. I don't have to give meiser from a goy's thing. Yeah, I'm the one who did all the work, and he is the owner of the land. Partnership, agreed partnership, as opposed to the mixed up case we had before. Givaldig, so I give from my part, his part, Gog is unpaid, whatever you want with it, it's your part. That's the logic of Tanakama before we even started. Comes Rabbi Yehuda. Now let's reread from the beginning. It's not wholesome. We learned over there Mishnah and Tamai. Rabbi Yehuda argues on it and says something very interesting. A mekabel, a person who works as a kablan instead voice of in the field of his fathers, in his field that belonged to his forefathers, mina nochri, and the field belongs to a goy. Meiser v'noisen loy. He takes meiser from everything, from the whole thing together, then give him. Did you just realize that I spoke something illogical? We said the field belongs to his fathers and belongs to the goy. His father's a goy. Talk to Gemara, Savrua, they thought, end of quote. Savrua, the people in Besmedrish, the Amoraim, thought originally, my voisov. What do you mean voisov? I thought it belongs to a goy. No, Eretz Yisrael. It means Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't belong to his fathers. It belongs to the goy. It belongs to Abdul Mahmud Rahman. The Amai Kaulas voisov. Why do they call it the field of his fathers? These are not the field of the father of the Yid, the Yiddish Oris. It's there Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. We are all the children of Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, of Hoseinu HaKadoshim, our ancestors. So Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, that's called Sdei Voisov. So basically, what are we saying over here? A Jewish worker who is a kablan, who is a person who works by percentage in a field that is located in Eretz Yisrael, belonging to a goy, has, as opposed to what we said before Tanakama, he has to take meiser from everything, and then give the goy's part, a loss. How does that work? Now we'll see everything I told you before. The Kasova, Rabbi Yehuda believes two things. Ein kinyan lenoche be'eretz Yisrael afkia miyad meiser. The kinyan of a goy does not mafkia, does not break away, does not take away, does not annul the kedusha of meiser. Meaning, if I'm Jewish and I eat from the goyish field, I have to take meiser, even though it's owned by a goy, because it's in Eretz Yisrael. Umekabel kechoicher dami. As opposed to the differentiation we made before, Rabbi Yehuda argues and says Mekabel is like a choicher. A percentage guy is like a fixed amount guy. As the Gemara is going to elaborate, Ma choicher, just like Tanakama agrees to Rabbi Yehuda, Baruch Hashem, ben ovad uben loy ovad boy isuri umeitan lei. Whether the field yielded a lot of fruit or didn't, you have to take meiser for whatever you have and give him. Now, you first give meiser, and then you give him the fixed amount. Why? The chiporech dami. It's a kriyas choiv. That's very logical. We all agree on that. We all agree. I'm giving this Baruch Hashem good example. You make your 30,000. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't care if you have debts, you don't have debts, unless it's debts from university degree that you made in order to get the money. By the way, I'm not going there. But Lamaisa, if you have debts for someone, bli kesher, you take meiser, and one story, absolutely disconnected. You still have to give your meiser. If you're choiv, the fact you have choiv doesn't deduct the mean from your meiser. So a regular guy who gives a fixed amount, give your entire meiser from everything. It's all yours, and from your entirely 100% your produce, which grew by his field, but it considered as yours, you give him a fixed amount. Zwei Sachen, not connected. So too comes Rabbi Yehuda and says, no, comes Rabbi Yehuda, and now he's arguing on Tanakama and says, Af mikabel nami, the person is also an oris. Who's an oris? He's a person who gets per percentages, gives percentage, kiporech avosoi dami, meiser v'noisen loy. Wow. Says Rabbi Yehuda, I disagree with that logic, and I say, no, I look at the percentage guy, the oris kablan, also like a person who's giving, it's not a fixed amount, but it's a chayv. I view him as somebody who owns all the produce, because he's the one who worked and toiled and he did it, and now he's given percentage, it's a debt. Sometimes you owe a person debt kavua, fixed amount, and sometimes it's a debt which is percentage. Let's say you have an agreement with a guy, I don't know, some interesting agreement. Let's say you have to pay rent, and the guy says, you know how much rent you'll pay me? Percentage of how much you earn that month. So percentage can also be a debt. So that could be good. The Kitzer Rabbi Yehuda says, I don't care if he's an oris or he is a choicher. In both cases, even an oris, however the agreement is, meiser has to be taken from goyish ground in Eretz Yisrael, and you are the owner of everything, and you have to take meiser from everything, and then you give him his 40, 50, 60% after meiser, after taxes, so to speak. That's the first understanding we had. The savrua. What's savrua? That was the original explanation of the Mishnah by Bnei HaYeshiva, by the Amoraim. That could have been very nice, unless we're going to face a challenge now. Omar Rav Kana Rav Papi. But then Rav Kana asked Rav Papi, the Amri lo Rav Zvid, and some say that Rav Kana asked the question to Rav Zvid. Ela Tanya. I'll show you a brisa that seems very strange. A brisa by Rabbi Yehuda. It says in the brisa as follows: Rabbi Yehuda says, "Amekabel sde avoisov mimatzik nochri meiser v'noisen loy." The brisa says as follows: if you're a kablan, what's a kablan again? Not the guy who built your house. A kablan is in this case, Jewish worker who works in percentage. That's mekabel, very good. And now he got his land. You know who's working for? A guy who's a matzik. Matzik means to bother. Latzik, a bothersome goy, which means basically he's a thief. He's mamish, a person who forced the land out of your own fathers. You see the chutzpah? Let's say the guy's called classical names here. Yitzchok, yeah? Now his father was Avram. Avram had the land. Came Abdallah with a big gun in his hand, not exactly science fiction. And what? Chased Avram out of the land. Meanwhile, Avram was nifter in the old age home. Now the land is illegally held by Abdallah. Yeah, everyone knows that he's the thief over here. He just took hold of the land. He possessed it illegally. That's what's called a matzik. Yeah, he's a bothersome person. And now Yitzchak, the son of the real owner, yeah, who was in exile or died or whatever, now he's the one working the field for percentage. Yeah, that's a story. That's a twisted story. What happens in such a case? We say that Yitzchak, a sharecropper, that's what's called in nice English, Yitzchak, the sharecropper, has to take Meiser from everything, the entire field, and then give the percentage to Abdallah, the thief. Yeah, the illegal owner. Now, why? Frag the Gemara, Ma'ir Matzik. Well, Rabbi Yehuda would say that it's always true. Why in the Brises does Rabbi Yehuda speak about a goy who is an illegal owner? Afilu ein matzik nami. Even if the goy is not a matzik, but a very legal, nice guy who bought it with his good money, it's the same halacha. We just proved through fire and water that according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you are a percentage guy, you're sharecropper for percentage, you have to give ma'aser from everything. Why did we portray? You know why we portray the case? It's not an innocent question. There's an agenda here. We saw recently quoted, very recently, we saw quoted the Gemara in Bavakamet Tzadihei Amud Aleph, Ein karka ein anigzeles. A piece of land that was stolen, meaning somebody kicked out the real owner with a big gun in his hand and just possessed the area, squatting there by force. What do we say then? We say the land doesn't have the halacha of being nigzal. Halachically, it's not really in the hands of the new guy. Oh, here's an afkamina. You see that this piece of land, whether you say a legal goy takes away from Meiser or not, yeah, here, because it's illegal, it's kilu, the land is not in the hands of the goy because it's a gazlan. Yeah, mimele, it's kilu stayed in the hands of Avrom, the old man, the father of Yitzchak the sharecropper. Mimele, of course, he has to take Meiser from everything because really it doesn't belong to a goy. It's really all theirs. It's really, really all theirs. That's why he has to take Meiser. Ah, so you see, not like you explained before. Before, you told me what? That according to Rabbi Yehuda, even if it's legal, and really that Abdallah is the owner, I, the worker, still have to take 100% because a sharecropper is considered as a partner with a goy, as the only owner, as a sole owner, and he has to take Meiser from everything, then he pays the debt. Here you see not like that. Here you see it's only because the goy was a thief and it's not really his. Mashma, that if it was really his, if it was really the goy's, then no. Then I don't have to take my Meiser from 100%, only from my 40%. So you misunderstood Rabbi Yehuda. And don't tell me the Mishnah is not like the Brisa, it's the same Rabbi Yehuda. And normally Brises, if they're well behaved, they explain the Mishnahs. Ella. Therefore, we have an entirely new pshat. An entirely new pshat. Le'olam, really, Le'olam, really, the real truth is, Yesh kinel nochi be'eretz Yisrael lefkia mid meiser. Wow. According to what we say now, by the way, that's not the halacha, by the way, but what we're saying now is a goy, if he bought a piece of land legally in Eretz Yisrael, he bought money. Yeah, he bought it very nicely. He came to you, shook your hand, gave you a good price, and you went and moved to the town. Yeah. And the goy, what about him? He's mafkia, and now meiser doesn't have to be taken. Adds Rashi a word, and even if you say they wasn't mafkia, even if you say that the meiser really has to be taken, oh, very good. Really, Rabbi Yehuda is like Tanakama, and Mekabel is not a choicher. Again, meaning a regular, normal case, normal field with a legal goy, legal owner, and Mekabel is not a choicher. Meaning, again, back to the same idea introduced at the beginning of Shiur. You don't have to be confused. And Mekabel is a person who works for a percentage. Percentage means partnership. Yom shona, we're the same thing. I get 40, he gets 60. I call that partnership. I don't have to take myself from Goy's part. Mapitom, crazy. Mashe'enken echoicher means I have to give a set amount, even if I don't produce anything, or I produce gazillions. To give a set amount is viewed as a chayv. Yeah, a person has to pay a chayv, haras keva, every month you pay a chayv. Then I say that I take myself from everything, and then I pay my debt, and that's really what Rabbi Yehuda agrees to. So what did he say? So what did Rabbi Yehuda mean when he said tzda avoisov? Umay tzda avoisov? You know how you now have to reinterpret Rabbi Yehuda's interesting statement about the soda of your fathers? It's not the forefathers of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. It's a voice of Mamish. We're talking about a very specific case of what? Of the Brisa. The voice of the Brisa are the same. It's the soda of your father and the soda of a goy. How could that be? Where the only case in your Yehuda said you have to take Maisa from everything and you're losing money big time. You don't take Maisa from 40%, take Maisa from 100%. Is only one specific unique case. If you're a sharecropper in your father's field and the one who's holding it now illegally is a guy, it's your forefather's field held by Abdul, and everybody knows not to mess up with him, including you, Mr. Mekabel. And why does he have to take Maisa from all 100%? If the other worker would be there, not a son of the original owner, then we'd say you have to take Maisa from 40% from your percentage. Because you are the son of the real owners, we say you have to take Maisa from everything. Says the Gemara, because he's the son of the real owners, Rabbanon gave him a knas to take Maisa from everything, although the regular halacha, standard halacha, is to only take Maisa from your percentage. Because you're the son of the victim, you have to pay much more. Why? The idea the chaviva alei tfei. Why is the son working there? Did it occur to you? Let's play psychologist. Because this land is chaviv olav, it's beloved by him. He feels something's really wrong here. That Abdul Rahman is not such a Rahman. He stole the land from my father. He stole the land from my dad. And therefore, I love the land and I'm still interested in working there. I feel emotionally attached. I want to work there. And one day, I'm dreaming of what? Winning the lottery and buying it from him. Although it's unfair, why do you have to pay money? But Lemaisa, this guy has more attachment to the land. The Azil Mekabel lo. And therefore, he would accept the Gzera of Chazal that he has to pay. In other words, he would still stay a Kablan and still keep working in the field, even though he'd have to pay more than the regular guy. Inish de alma loy. A regular guy, you tell him you have to give 100%. What? Am I crazy? Mapitom. Why should I, from that guy, have to give my son everything? Mapitom. Logic says I have to give on my 40%. I'm not working in such a field. These are not good work conditions. The only one who would be masking to Chazal's kivyochol bad work conditions that he has to give 100 is the son who wants to work there because he's emotionally attached. So basically what we're saying now, he gets punished because he can take the punishment. Some sadistic teachers, they say that. Two kids did the same thing as wrong as the other. They say, I'm punishing Reuven and not Shimon because Reuven can take the punishment. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? Well, Ladide, according to Ladide, the son of the Nigzal, my time cancel Rabbanon. Says Rashi, what wrong did he do? Why did Rabbanon cancel him? Again, let's summarize. I see people are getting lost here. Again, the halacha according to Rabbi is as follows. Let's stop and take stock. Regular halacha. If I'm a nice Jewish boy, and I am a nice Jewish boy, but let's say I'm a sharecropper, which I'm not yet. Let's say I'm a regular sharecropper. I put a line, online advertisement, sharecropper for sale. Very nice. For hire. And then, who answered the advertisement? Abdul Rahman Mahmoud. If it's a regular guy who's not a thief, he bought the field. What's the halacha? I never ever, lekula almana, Rabbi Yehuda not Rabbanon, I never have to, when it comes to Meiser, I never have to give Meiser over the entire 100%. No. If the agreement is 40-60, then I take my 40. I take his 60 separate then. From my 40%, I take Meiser kedas v'chadim like Chazonish. His 60%, go gesundheit, go jump with the lake with your 60%. That's halacha. Comes Rabbi Yehuda with a very, very interesting idea, very specific case. Says Rabbi Yehuda like this: if the goy is a ganav, A, B, he stole it from your own parents, C, you are the one working in his field that was stolen by him from your parents, from your family assets, then we say that you have to give not 40%, not from your part, you have to give Maisa from the whole thing, from the 100%. That's a knas. That's all very nice to say emotionally attached. The Gemara says, what wrong did he do? Why? Why should I be punished to give 100% because he stole it from my fathers? If another guy would have worked in the field, not me, the heir, then they wouldn't have to give of 100%, only from the 60. No, finally, we're getting to the. Are you good now? Omar biyochanan, kidei shete boro biyodoi. We want the land to be clear by him, meaning clearly owned by him. In other words, that person is emotionally attached to the place. Yeah. Now there are two ways how he can keep his attachment to his father's field, to his nachlas avoisov, which is not just emotional. It's important to keep him nachlas avois. That's halacha. In the 50th years, it comes back in the yovel. There are two ways. He could either say, "Listen, I'm working the land. Yeah, still have nice childhood memories every time I reap the wheat. I work and work and work, and Abdul is the owner. Machpat. Okay, I'm working here. I feel like I'm the owner." And that can go on and on and on. And he would never redeem it back from the goy. Once we say to him who wants to stay in the land, he doesn't go anywhere else. Once we tell him, "Listen, mister, it's going to hurt you in the pocket. Every year, you have to give him higher, not him, you have to give higher percentage of Maisa than everybody else." He would say, they would push him to buy the land from the goy. I'll give you an example from today's life. Let's say you really, really like an apartment. You really like an apartment, or a flat. You won't live anywhere else. Perfect location, perfect neighbors, perfect daf yomi, perfect view, unbelievable. You wouldn't leave the place for anything. There are two ways: either rent, and just pay your entire life and killed by the rent, or buy it. Oh, so one good guy would say let's say somebody wants you to buy the place, he would tell the landlord, give him start demanding higher what? Higher no schirus, higher higher rental. They would push you to buy the land. Why am I throwing the money down the drain? I might as well buy it once and for all and take a little loan. Yeah, that's the idea here. That's the idea. We want goyim, especially thieves, that even stam goyim, not to own parts in Eretz Yisrael. It's not an ideal situation. We want the mitzvahs to be kept over here. We want to be in a Jewish state, right? And Mimela, what do we say? Very nice. We say now, since you are the son and you are attached there and you're already there and you have to pay big percentage, pay higher meiser would push you to actually buy it. Mashenk other people who are not the children of the owner, they wouldn't talk to them. You tell them, pay a higher meiser. I'm going to another field. Why should I work with a field with higher meiser? I'll go to work in a regular field of another Jew or a legal guy and not pay anything. I'll pay a regular meiser to the Koyanim. Only that specific case was Rabbi Yehuda. And you know what? Halacha is like both the Nekam and Rabbi Yehuda. At the end of the day, they never argued. Again, let's summarize. Why don't they argue? The Nekama says, and Rabbi Yehuda agrees, that a regular case, Goy, Jew, legal, regular case, what's the story? The person who's the worker, either sharecropper or a fixed amount, oris or choicher, both cases you give not from 100%. Give from your part. Give your tzenua part. Give meister from there, not from the whole thing. Only in one specific case, we made a knas, not a knas because you're a bad boy, a knas in order to cajole you, to goad you to do something, to bite off the ganev, and you are, who won't bite from the ganev if not you, the child of the family? And Mimele, we impose higher meisters on you, so you should go and get and do it. That's one pshat. There's another pshat in the Rishonim, but we're going to leave it at that. Omar Birmia, one finishing line. Omar Birmia, yeah, kigoin do tzricha rabba. The same Rabbi Yirmiyah, with the same statement he made in the previous sugya, he says that explanation is so mechudash, is so out of the box, tzricha rabba. It needs a very specific big rov like Rabbi Yochanan and Odom Godel Gav Rabba to explain it to us. In other words, when you read the Mishnah in Meiser in Dmai, you read it, like Daf Yomi, like Mishnah Yomis, you wouldn't have imagined that that's pshat. Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's a very mechudesh dike idea. Tzricha Rabba. We need a great person like Rabbi Yochanan to tell me that this is pshat. Just like we said before in the previous sugya regarding the previous thing of the Neku Begushayan. Yeah, remember about the trees that were uprooted from one place to the other. By the way, you saw it, showed yesterday, going to yesterday? I showed you from the website of the UK trees, you probably didn't see it. In the UK trees ministry or whatever, whoever's in charge of planting trees in England, they have a website, and they wrote there that it's very common for trees to move house naturally, either through wind or through rivers, or be swept away, swamped away, and make new roots in a new place. And it's much more successful than human replanting. It's called natural regeneration. So that's mamish what the Gemara is talking about. That exists in the world pretty commonly. Okay, and they take roots very nicely in a new place. But they didn't discuss Orla in that website. I'm not sure why. Okay, yes. Yeah, continue. Questions? You good? Fine. Right. Because of his question, I'm going to now introduce to you the pshat of the Rach. The Rach says something which you're going to like better. Rabbeinu Hananel gives a different pshat here. And he says as follows. Instead of saying Sheteh Boro Beyodoi, that the land should be clearly owned by him, he says the land should be Bura Beyodoi. The land should be Bura, should be no barren, should be fallow, what? Fallow in the hands of the goy, which means, have you ever heard of cherem? How about Chazal doing something very simple, which would avoid the goy from doing it ever again? Let's say Chazal tell everyone with big pachkevilim in the street and big loudspeakers, nobody's allowed to work in the land of the goy. And let's say everyone around him are Jews, and the other Arabs are not interested in working in his field. I don't know. Yeah, no Jew should work in his field. That is Gzera Chazal actually implemented according to the Rach. So what's the story with the heir? The only one who wouldn't listen to Chazal of just not working the field would be the son. The son always worked there. The son is emotionally attached. And maybe the son won't listen to Chazal if they tell him, don't work that field. So on the son, they said, if you work in the field, you don't listen to us, then we impose Meiser. And Meiser, they can actually impose Mamish. We'll force you to give Meiser from everything. You'll be a loser. You'll be losing from that. And therefore, other people won't work in the field. Why should they? Chazal said not to work. I won't work. The only one who's going to start playing games and who says they have to listen to the Gedolim is who? Is the son. Because the son would say, I want to work there. On the son, they imposed extra knas to really make sure it doesn't work. Now that works very well. Because then nobody would work in that field. So now, once we basically close the faucet on Mr. Ganev Goy, GG Ganev Goy, we say, oh, that's it. And then he won't do it again, and he would be forced to do something with it, to sell it, to give it. BDU. The extra meister will be something, a deterrent to make sure that he's not working there. Can other people, anyhow, who says they want to work there? Chazal said not to work there. 50 other fields to work. The only one who may play games and say, I want to work in my field where I was playing as a kid is who is him. Oh, no. You're going to pay more. That would stop you from doing it. Right. That's better, right? This way, we for sure close the tap on him. Yeah, that's it. And there's no way that the goy will be able to function in his stolen field. Now we're coming to a very, very, very classical sugya, wow, which we've been quoting many, many, many times. Itmar. Itmar is a machloikes amoyroim. Did you know that? Itmar is always a machloikes between two amoyroim. Itmar. It says in the by the way, before we continue, a little bit of halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa, ein kinyan legoy la'afkia miyad meiser lekula alma. Whether you live in Bnei Brak following Chazon Ish or you live in Yerushalayim and you follow Badat Yad Charedis, does not make a difference for Meiser. Halacha l'Meiser, I'm not a Posek Halacha, but as far as I know and I behave, if you buy something from a Goyish field, now, depends. If the Goy was Memareach, if the Goy is the one who actually finished the final touch-up, which we all know is a crucial moment in which it's Chayiv B'Meiser, becomes Chayiv B'Meiser, like that Druze woman, she or her family, they own the grove, and she did miruch in front of us, and she showed us a nice box of cherries. Then what? Then we say it's potter from Meiser. Then I don't have to take Meiser. I don't have to take Meiser because it's theirs back to back, from the whole thing, from one end to the other. Mashenken, if the guy sells it to you all shlochi and all messed up, and the yid was memareach, because the miruch was by yid, then it's chai b'meiser. Don't know Doraisa Dorabon, I think even Doraisa, okay? So it's up to the Meruach, but conceptually there is a hafkor. If it belongs to the Goy and was all the way through done by Goy till Meruach, then you don't have to take Meiser. A funny end to the story, which may also teach you something la halacha, and I'm actually saying this online because it's not relevant to the sugya, but it's relevant to halacha. Yeah, it was a bit like a fairy tale story. Because why? She sold us these very, very good-looking cherries that look like from a, I don't know, some Disney cartoon. Yeah, almost you can almost see the, the glow all around. And very nice. She did meruach. My father-in-law, the Zal, and myself, Ibad al-Chaim, we got the thing. Then we opened the cherries. They were swarming, swarming, swarming with white worms. Yeah, unbelievable. They look perfect from the outside, and inside they were as wormy as anything because they don't use pesticides. They're not as advanced. So I'm saying when you buy, yeah, when you don't eat a cherry, yeah, wherever George Washington or not, don't, yeah, open it into two halves, see what's going on inside, who's living in there, anybody home, and then close it again, appropriate and eat. Yeah, but that's, I'm just telling you, okay, beware of that. Each one of those worms is like is 5 lavim doraisa. It's not fun. So that's the end of the story. But Meiser wise, it was okay. You didn't have to take Meiser from the worms, I hope. Itma, yeah. A question al halacha. Ayored letoch sde chavero v'neto sheloi birshus. Oh, a person came to his friend's field and planted the trees there without asking permission from the owner. Basically, you did a favor to someone without asking him. And now you're coming and asking for the money. He never told you, get those trees out of my land. But he's like, I didn't ask you to do that. But it's a very awkward situation. Lamaisa, now he's gaining. He has trees in his land, and he's not asking me to kick them out of the land, right? And now I want to be paid. Omar Rav, says Rav, Shomin loy ve'yoda latachtoino. We assess the amount of money he has to get. Who? The uninvited planter, yeah? And we say Yoda latachtoini has the lower hand, which means what? As we said many times, you always give him the lower price. Of course, he has to be paid something. On the other hand, I never asked you to do that. And therefore, but there's a huge condition here, which we're going to see in a few minutes. But first of all, let's translate. What's Yoda latachtoina? Depends. If in order to plant the trees, you invested 5,000 shekels, worked the trees, yeah, 5,000 shekels invested, but really it was a flop. The field now, after the new situation, the new improvement didn't really improve. It's now worth 3,000 shekels more than before, not 5. It's a loss. It didn't even break even. How much do you pay? 3, not 5. On the other hand, let's say he invested 3,000. Baruch Hashem, became a beautiful grove of 20,000. But he only invested 3,000. How much do you give him? 3,000. I always give him the lower of either the investment or the result, the lower of the lower one of the two. The lower of the two. There's a huge disclaimer here. Wait. Shmuel Omar, Shmuel seemingly argues and says, let's assess how much would a regular person want to invest in order to plant the field. In other words, pay him. How much would you pay a gardener, a planter, in order to plant 10 trees in your backyard? How much? I don't know, 5,000, 10,000? That's what you give him. Pay him in full, even though he's an unwanted guest. Before you scream and shout, we're going to say now a huge disclaimer. It's not a machlokes Rav Shmuel. Rav Shmuel are in total agreement with each other. Farvos, kan besoda suyalita, kan besoda sheina suyalita. Depends. Asoda suyalita. Let's say the field. What did he plant to his friend? I was in Chutz Laaretz. I have a field. I went to Chul for 2 weeks. The guy went to Turkey, comes back to the field. The field is full of which trees? No, which fruit? Avocado. Yeah, yum. Avocado trees. That's very healthy and good and yummy. Very healthy. Avocado, 10 avocado trees. Oh, if it's a field has suyalita, that kind of field is very good for avocados. It's very normal, very accepted to plant avocados there. It wasn't meant to be, says Rashi, chitim. It wasn't meant to be sdeh lovon. It was meant to be sdeh of mata, a grove, yeah. Yeah, it's good. Avocado is very much in fashion and good. It's accepted kind of thing. Then says Shmuel, and Rav would agree with Shmuel, pay him in full. I didn't ask for it. but he did you a favor at the end of the day. Pay. When Rav was saying give him the lowest price, Rav spoke about a field that's supposed to be a gas station, or a hotel, or an amusement park, or even a tomato field. Yeah, not avocado. Avocado is way out of line, but you are staying with avocado at the end of the day. But you're saying, listen, I'm staying with avocado, but it's absolutely not my plan. You did me a favor, but very backhanded kind of favor. In such a case, both would agree that he can say, I'm gaining something, but something, not the real thing. I'll pay you, but I'll pay you the least of the two, either the expense or the result. Now, there's much, much more to say, but let's first continue to get the vibe. The Rav, that psak of Rav, Rav beferush itmar. Rav never actually said it. Rav never said in his own mouth that a person who's notea sode sheloi bilshus she'en asuyalita without permission, and it's not meant to be avocado, no way. And Rav never said you have to give him the minimum, and otherwise you have to give him the maximum. He never said it. Ella, in the first wide line, michlolo itmar. We have this rule many, many times in the Gemara. What's michlolo itmar? We learn it from somewhere else. In other words, there was a case in which Rav ruled, and from Rav's ruling, we derive the psak. Let's see what was the case and what is the psak. There was a case, a story. Daud also Rav. A person came to Rav, Omer Lei, yeah. A person came to Rav with this case. That was the case. There was a case. Two people came to Rav. One of them says, I planted avocados by him. He never took the avocados out. He owes me millions. Avocado is expensive. He's not exporting them to Switzerland. I don't know. And the other guy says, no, I don't want to give him anything. Omer Lei Zil Shumlei, go and assess and pay him properly. Rav originally said, Sham, assess the gain, the profit, and pay him in full. Omer Lei says the field owner, the one that was done a favor to without wanting, Loi Baina. I never wanted that. He's not saying I don't want to Rav. I never asked for that. I never wanted those stupid avocados in my field. Omer Lei Zil Shum Leveyoda Latachtoina. Okay, so give him less. Oh, if you don't want it, if you don't want it, give him the lower of the two. Now, we still don't know if it's meant to be or not meant to be avocados, but we know I never wanted avocados. I never asked him for that. Okay, so give him the lower price. Either the expense or the result, give him the lower. Omer Lei Loi Ba'ina. No, but I never wanted that. He's insisting. I never wanted those avocados there. If they're out of place, why should I give him anything at all? Okay. Now, Lesoif, Chaze de Godro Vekamintarlo. At some point, Rav saw, he passed by the guy's field, the one who says, I don't want those avocados. I don't want them even now. Let him take them away. Zero I'm paying. Who asked you to give me, to plant those trees by me? All of a sudden, one sunny day, Rav goes and sees that that guy, the victim, took some stones or whatever, or some sticks, and he godro. What's ligdo? He fenced it. He put a fence all around it in order to guard it. He paid the shomer bitachon. He started guarding his prize trees. Omerle, says Rav to the guy, I caught you red-handed. Galita daitcha, now you have proven, you showed your true colors. The nichalach, now you show that you are interested in it. Now you show that that field for you is very good. Yeah, you dropped your plans to have a gas station there, if you ever had them, by the way. Yeah, but right now, you're very happy with this. Now that field is considered to be what? To be lechatchila, a field where those trees are supposed to be planted. Zil shumlei yodalel yoino. Wow. Now pay him yodalel yoino, which Rashi says is like Shmuel, pay him in full. If you proved, if you showed your real intentions, actions speak louder than words, and you showed, yes, I'm guarding it, I'm making my whole avocado business here. So at the end of the day, you're gaining. If you're gaining, pay him the higher amount, even though you originally didn't ask for it. The Rishonim ask a question, and today we have to finish the Amud. The Rishonim ask a question, at the end of the day, he didn't want. Why should he pay in full for something he never ordered? So the Rishonim say, because he shows that he's interested. Even if you're interested, Lachar Maisa, you could kick out the trees. Why didn't you uproot the trees? Get your tithe workers to uproot the trees and throw them in the other field. Why didn't you do that? Let's in the Chutzlarts. In Chutzlarts, there's no problem with Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. So why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Because you are interested. Yeah, we're not moiche. Yeah, you're not interested in paying in full, but you want to keep them. If you want to throw them away, throw them away. As long as you're interested in the field, whether before Maisa or Lacha Maisa, you have to pay in full. However, if the field is the Evid, I'm not interested. Why am I keeping quiet? All my neighbors know that my plan was to have a gas station there. I never dropped the plan. I'm keeping them. But the Evid for now, I'm not even fencing it. I'm not doing anything about it. For now, that's a matzav. I'm not moicher. I don't have koch to start talking to him now. Then you have to pay the lower price if it's not really within your consent. It's not meant for that. Itma, we have to finish it on with Itma. I can listen to questions at 10:25. Itma. Now a similar question, very similar, but instead of doing with planting, it's to do with building. A person wants to play the tzaddik, Saint Tzaddik, and he knows there's a friend who has a churba, a ruined house, a ruined churbas Rabbi Yehuda Chosid. His friend has a house which is shambles, shekel. His house is all derelict, and he's building it up. Nice. He's doing it up all nicely. He's, hole in the wall. Without his permission, he built it. The Omar Loy, and then eventually, now, as opposed to the previous question, now the story takes a different course. You're making me faces. You know what? I'm going to take away now the new beams that I added and the new stones. Let's say the house was half broken, and he added the second part, the upper part, with nice wood and nice stones. I'm taking them away. Is he allowed to take away what he himself invested? Or can the person say, no, I want them. I'll pay you and I want to keep them. Or can the guy say, no, listen, you never contracted me. I never agreed to that. I did it ad hoc. I did it just by myself or arts. Easy come, easy go. I put them in. I want to put them out. Or do we say no? Once you're part of the house of the house owner, then the house owner can insist and say, no, it's true you did it without my permission. I'm willing to pay you now and keep them. Can he force himself out of the renovation after he built it without permission or no? Rav Nachman Omer Shoymin Loy will listen to the uninvited builder, and if he wants to take out the new material they brought in, you will listen to him and he can re-destroy it. Easy come, easy go. Rav Sheshes Omer and Shoymin Loy. Rav Sheshes says no. Once it's in the house, you don't listen to the guy who wants to take it out. You built it in your friend's house. Your friend is willing to pay. You're forced to leave it in your friend's house. That's what he wants. And you did it for him. Keep it that way. Meisivi. Now we're challenging now Rav Nachman. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer, B'Shamai Omerin Shoymin Loy. B'Shamai are the ones who say you listen to the uninvited builder. He can take out his material, whatever he brought in. Basila Omim and Shoymin Loy. Basila say no. You don't listen to the guy who wants to opt out. He's forced to leave it in. Lema Rav Nachman Domo ki B'Shamai. Is Rav Nachman like B'Shamai? It comes out Rav Nachman, who's in a moiro, is following B'Shamai. Bad choice. You can't follow B'Shamai. B'Shamai b'mkom B'Silel in Alocha. Gemara in Brochus Lametvov Amud Domar ki B'Shamai. And says Gemara, no. Who Domar ki Aitana? Rav Nachman believes a different brisa, which says differently. The Tanya, Shoymin Loy, Divrei Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. You do listen to him, says Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, and that's Rav Nachman. He's following Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. That's a legitimate Tana. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Shoymin Loy, B'Silamim and Shoymin Loy. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, he's the one who said B'Shamai say like I said, but I don't believe B'Shamai ever said that. I don't believe Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. I believe Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Very good. I think what I said was never said by B'Shamai. As we see Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. My Avialo. Ma Aloche. What's the halacha when it comes to taking out the wood from the newly refurbished house? Or, by the way, what would be also with the trees? Let's say the guy has a debate. He planted the 10 avocado trees in the guy's house while he was in Chutz La'aretz, and now he started to fight with me. I did you a favor. I'm taking out the avocados. Can he say that? Yeah, same question now in both. Can I take out the stone and sticks that I brought, the new nice painted windows? And by the field, can I take out the trees? What's halacha? Amar B'Yakov, Amar B'Yochanan. There's a difference. The Bai is Shoymin Loy. The Soda ain't Shoymin Loy. If it's in a house, the person who refurbished the house, who did up nicely the house renovations, and he added beams and he added nice windows and he added a new faucet, then shoymin loy. If he's not interested and he sees things get sour, he can opt out. I'm taking out my nice faucet. I'll even do it up nicely. I'll seal it nicely with the patty, whatever. The nice window I'm taking back. You don't want, goodbye. Yeah. The soda ain't shoymin loy. But if he wants to take out his trees that he grew there, that he planted there, we don't listen to him. Why? What's the difference? The soda my time the reason is in Eretz Yisrael we don't like people to uproot trees. Once a tree is planted in Eretz Yisrael, it's a very choshev thing. Yeah, that's even our brethren the Chilonim, right? In America, right? They plant a tree on your behalf, right? In the Israeli forest. Some of them think it's the biggest mitzvah. It's the biggest mitzvah. Once a tree is planted, don't eradicate, don't pull it out so quickly, and therefore leave it there. You're not losing. He'll pay you. He'll pay you, according to what we said before. Ikadamri. Some say the reason you don't uproot a tree is kachsha de'ara. That's a term I told you before. Kachsha de'ara means every time, as we saw in the previous sugya, every time a tree is in the ground, on one hand, oh, very good, there's a tree that yields fruit, it's a lot of revach and money and good. On the other hand, he's sucking the energy from the ground. The ground becomes kachush, emaciated, becomes thinner. You're taking from the energy from the fertility of the ground. So now the owner can tell the tree owner, listen, maybe I wasn't excited about you doing it to begin with, but once your trees were in my land for a while, and they took and sucked up the energy from my ground, now you're taking them away. That's a chutzpah. To suck out the energy for that time I lost. Now you might as well leave it there. Shoin, leave it there. And if it sucked the energy, at least let me enjoy the fruit and get some hana from it. And that's why I don't allow you to take it out. The shaken, when it comes to the windows or the, I don't know, the new kitchen corner, nothing to do with that. No kach shadara. My benayu. What's the difference between the two reasons? We said two reasons why not to uproot a tree. Either because of Eretz Yisrael, we want it to be meyushav and full of trees, or because time it's a hefsed for the field owner. What's the difference between them? Very, very easy and expected. The difference is chul, obviously. If this story takes place not in Eretz Yisrael, but in Eretz, Italy, wherever, if this story happens in Italy, let's say, then what? If there is an issue of Eretz Yisrael, there's no issue of Eretz Yisrael in Italy, right? And the guy who planted and now sees things don't work his way, he can now uproot and take the trees back home with him and plant them somewhere else and throw them in the garbage, burn them. It's not Eretz Yisrael. But if you say the reason is the choshen mishpat reason, the field owner feels cheated because you sucked up his energy, and now before the good part happens, you're taking away the tree. That's unfair wherever you live. Choshen mishpat has to be kept wherever you live, regardless of Eretz Yisrael, and then you will not be allowed to uproot the trees. Thank you very much, Atzlocho V'rocho, and see you on Sunday next week. The plan is to have Shiur through the entire week, I hope. Bezos Hashem, thank you very much. And remember, today the date is Tes Zayin Av. It's the 16th of Av today. Tell it to all your friends. And Hatzlocho V'rocho, have a good Shabbos, a good Friday, and an amazingly Heilig Gita Shabbos. See you on Sunday, Bezos Hashem.